His Excellency Mohamed Waheed, and I invite him to address the General Assembly.
Mr. President, Mr. Secretary General, Excellencies, distinguished delegates. First, I would like to congratulate you, Mr. President, on your election to preside over the 65th session of the General Assembly. Please be assured of my delegation's full support and cooperation. I would also like to take this opportunity to offer our appreciation to both your predecessor, His Excellency Mr. Ali Abdul Salam Treki, for the exemplary manner in which he guided the work of the 64th session, and to the Secretary General Ban Ki-moon for his leadership of the United Nations over the past 4 years. Mr. President, last week I had the opportunity to report on the Maldives' progress on our attainment of the Millennium Development Goals. My report demonstrated that while we have achieved 5 of the 8 MDGs, namely MDGs 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6, several goals remain challenges and some achievements are increasingly becoming threatened. For example, the Maldives has made great strides in eliminating poverty, in education, and in improving mortality rates among both mothers and infants. However, we have yet to make significant gains in the areas for the empowerment of women. We are also still struggling to provide for our environmental and developmental needs. Moreover, religious extremism confronts notions of equality and social justice and endangers our achievements in gender parity. All the while, environmental and economic vulnerabilities threaten to diminish our gains. Mr. President, these gains, among others, have improved the lives of the Maldivian people and contributed to a situation that has led to our impending graduation from the United Nations list of LDCs this year. Whilst we look forward to our graduation, we also remain concerned about the sudden withdrawal of some of the benefits afforded to LDC countries that have helped sustain our developmental efforts for the past 4 decades. These include preferential market access and concessionary finance. While we were very encouraged by the pledges made by our partners at the Donors Conference held in the Maldives in March of this year to invest in urgent development projects, we anxiously await the speedy disbursement of the promised aid. Furthermore, we look forward to working with our developmental partners to achieve consensus on a transitional model that provides for a gradual reduction of benefits to avoid disruption of our development efforts as stipulated in the UNGA Resolution 59/209. Mr. President, as a country on the verge of LDC graduation, we look forward to adopting a development strategy that places emphasis on greater independence and economic stability through private investment and public-private partnerships. Our government's policies for privatization and our employment of commercial diplomacy are designed to achieve this transition. However, like many other small island states, our geopolitical and socio-economic circumstances will continue to render the Maldives vulnerable. The impact of the recent global recession clearly demonstrates these vulnerabilities. As a country primarily dependent on tourism and fishing, the Maldives was severely affected by decreases in consumption in our traditional markets. As a result, the government was compelled to implement severe austerity measures that cut public spending and undertook massive economic reforms. Nevertheless, our people continue to face formidable development challenges, and thus the Maldives will continue to push for greater recognition within the UN for the plight of the small island developing states. Mr. President, the economic transition in the Maldives complements an ambitious political transition from autocracy to democracy. Although a daunting task, we have been successful in achieving important milestones over the course of these past 2 years. In fact, the 2-year period of transition stipulated in our Constitution concluded in August this year. This process resulted in the establishment of our Supreme Court as well as the creation of our relevant institutions. While our transition process was accompanied by some political discord, it was largely peaceful. Our friends in the international community helped us find peaceful solutions during this somewhat tumultuous period in our politics. I'd like to thank all members of the international community for their continued engagement and assistance, especially President Mahinda Rajapaksa of Sri Lanka for his constructive contributions. Mr. President, the Maldives' transition to democracy is accompanied by our evolution from an abuser of human rights to a staunch advocate for them. We are proud of what we have achieved, but are the first to recognize that there is no shortage of challenges that require our immediate attention. These include the need to abrogate the use of torture, the need to safeguard the rights of women, children, and the disabled, and the need to improve our capacity to deal with human trafficking in our region. The Maldives is proud to have been elected to the Human Rights Council in May of this year, and we are cognizant of the trust and responsibility conferred upon us by the overwhelming support demonstrated by UN members across all regions. We will continue to uphold our pledge to use our membership to promote human rights through positive engagement and to address the sensitivities in our collective quest to protect the most vulnerable. Moreover, the Maldives is undergoing its own universal periodic review this year, and we consider this exercise an opportunity to further strengthen human rights protections at home. While our interest in human rights is rooted in our ambition to improve the lives of our own citizens, it also stems from our rising concerns that life in our now interconnected global village, where the need to compel tolerance, understanding, and respect for human dignity is greater than ever before. We support the initiatives for a culture of peace, for dialogue among civilizations, and tolerance amongst different faiths. As a Muslim country, we lament over the rising tide of Islamophobia in non-Muslim states. The people of Maldives certainly qualify the differences between government-sanctioned incidents and those anti-Muslim activities that can be attributed to marginal segments of non-Muslim societies. However, we believe that religious tolerance, negative stereotyping,